What's up, YouTube? It's Leina from Keaton Photography, and I'm back again with yet another tutorial. And today, I just want to show you the best of color correcting your images on Photoshop. Cause personally, I don't like. Personally, I don't like using Lightroom, then editing your pictures again in Photoshop. For me, it's tiresome doing that. So I see no need of using Lightroom yet. What I could do in Lightroom, I can still do it in Photoshop in this camera raw panel. Like the camera raw panel in Photoshop does pretty much the same work like just Lightroom. So I don't see any need of editing your pics in color correcting your images in Lightroom, then exporting and editing them in Photoshop. That's quite a lot of work, and most of the time I edit 10 pictures, 5 pictures, so that will take a lot of time. And without any further ado, let's get started. So this image, I shot it somewhere last month, and I shot it with my Canon 750D with a 50mm lens with an aperture of 1f1.8. Yeah, so this is the image, and this is raw. Nothing has been done with this image, straight from the camera. And this is the image you're going to use for today's tutorial. So without any further ado, let's get started. So I normally say, before doing anything to your image, you need to study your image first, because color correcting is basically making minor adjustments on your image on these sliders here. So some things you have to reduce them, some you have to add, some you have to you just see how you gonna regulate your things in the image. So first you need to study your image, because images are shot differently. I can't even tell you to master what I'm going to do here. You just have to personally study your image, because the settings you use normally when shooting are very much different. Your settings could be different from mine, and mine could be different from another photographer's. So, and your settings are what is going to give you whatever outcome you're going to get. So as for me, this is the image I got, and first, looking at this image, I just like everything about it. So basically in this image, I'm not going to do much about it, because it really came out well. The exposure is good, the contrast is good. I am just going to do slight changes from the sliders here. So let's start. The first slider is temperature. So I want to increase the temperature just a little. That's fine. I think let me enable before and after, so that we can be seeing what you're doing. So this is the before, this is the after. So I think you can see a slight change. So the contrast, I'm going to increase it a bit, and then the highlights, reduce the highlights to around negative 29 is fine. And then the shadows, I'm going to add the shadows, because you can see the image, the background is dark, so I have to reduce. Now the blacks in the image, I have to first the whites, I have to reduce the whites in the image. So you bring the slider down to around negative 22 is fine. Now to the blacks, Because looking at this image, you can see the blacks are quite much. The background is black, so I have to increase the blacks to around +5. That's fine. Then textures, just increase it a bit to +4. Like, you understand, too much of something is always poison, so you don't have to exaggerate anything. Yeah. So clarity, bring it up to +3. That's fine. And by the way, it's not a must you go touching all the sliders here. Some are not even too necessary. You just need to leave some, or some do not even make much impact on your image. So the vibrance, let me bring it up a bit, +7. Then saturation, okay, I'll leave the saturation at +12, the vibrance at +16. Yeah. Now we were dealing with the basic adjustments and the white balance. The white balance is custom. The profile is Adobe Color. So let's go to the next part, which is curves. So in the curves, we have the highlights, lights, dark, and shadows. So you can choose to adjust them using this graph here, or better still, you can use the sliders, because they do pretty much the same thing. So the highlights, let me increase the highlight just a bit and lighten it just a bit, reduce the darks, reduce the shadows, yeah, and then we're done with that. Now let's go to image details. So here is where you get the sharpening. You increase it. Let me increase it to about 80, and I leave it at that. Just a bit of noise reduction, leave it at that. And color mixer. Now here's now where we gonna deal with the colors in the image. We adjust them and fix them to where they're supposed to be. Like, yeah, you find at times when you're shooting with the light, they tend to fade, even the color of the model's skin tone, the model's outfit. So here's where you're going to fix and correct the colors. That's why we call it color correction. And by the way, doing the right color correction will really help you in doing your color grading. Will really help. So make sure you master your color correcting skills well. So looking at this image, we don't have much of the reds except for the lipstick. So maybe let's increase the reds just a bit, although the reds will also affect the model's skin. Yeah, so the oranges, just to increase it just a bit to +6. The yellows, the image has not much yellows, but the yellows and the reds, the yellows, reds, and oranges will always affect the model's skin. So the yellows, let me leave it at that. The image has no greens, maybe the magentas here. The image has no blues, so this is you. So we are adjusting the HSL, which is hue, saturation, and luminance. So we are done with the I don't want to do much, so I'm done with the hue. Let's go to saturation. increase the reds just a bit. I reduce the oranges just a little bit to around -3. Increase the yellows to around negative or +9. Yeah, the image has no yellows, has no green. Yeah, so let me increase the magenta just a bit. And then what else? Optics. What do we have here? Nothing much. Effects. We can let me add a little bit of vignetting. Around that is fine. I think for me, I'll leave it at that. Personally, I'd leave it at that. And yeah, I'll not want to do much about it, because the more you adjust the sliders, the more you even ruin your images. That's why I always don't want to do much more with my images. So personally, I'd leave it at that. And basically, that's how I do my color correction in Photoshop. Just a few steps, just a few clicks. So I think we're done. I'm done with that, and I hope this was so much helpful to you. I hope you're learning, and maybe see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, comment, and share. So thank you, and see you in the next one.